Τώρα, κυρίες και κύριοι, το κανάλι της Ναυτεμπορικής φιλοξενεί συνέντευξη του Πίτερ Τάκμαν, του Αϊνστάιν της Wall Street. Χριστίνα Μαριώτη είναι το πρόσωπο που βλέπουμε πίσω από κάθε κράχ και κάθε ράλι της αγοράς. Για 40 χρόνια βρίσκεται στην καρδιά των αγορών.
Ακριβώς, λοιπόν, Νικόλ. Σήμερα θα παρουσιάσουμε μια συνέντευξη της καλής συναδέλφου Όλγας Αντωνιάδη. Η Όλγα, λοιπόν, μίλησε με τον κύριο Πίτερ Τάκμαν, ο οποίος είναι γνωστός με το παρατσούκλι, όπως είπες, ο Αϊνστάιν της Wall Street. Αποτελεί την πιο πολυφωτογραφισμένη περσόνα του αμερικανικού χρηματιστηρίου, και αυτό γιατί οι έντονες εκφράσεις του, αλλά και το χαρακτηριστικό του κούρεμα, τον έχουν μετατρέψει σταδιακά στον άνθρωπο ένδειξη της ψυχολογίας των αγορών. Οι δείκτες, λοιπόν, όταν εκτοξεύονται ή όταν καταραίουν, κάνουν τα βλέμματα και τις κάμερες να γυρνάνε στον κύριο Τάκμαν, προκειμένου να δώσει εξηγήσεις σχετικά με το τι συμβαίνει στον χώρο του χρηματιστηρίου. Το ορισμένα ενδιαφέροντα στοιχεία, αν θέλεις, για την προσωπικότητά του, είναι ότι έχει σπουδάσει γεωργία, υπήρξε πορτιέρης του θρυλικού στούντιο 54, υπήρξε ιδιοκτήτης ενός δισκάδικου...
αυτό που κάνει.
Ακριβώς. Υπήρξε ιδιοκτήτης ενός δισκάδικου jazz δίσκων. Έχει ασχοληθεί με τον χώρο του εμπορίου, αλλά και με τον χώρο της λογιστικής. Και όλες αυτές οι ανορθόδοξες, αν θέλεις, εμπειρίες οδήγησαν στο να διαμορφώσει τον πολυσχηδή του χαρακτήρα. Στην συνέντευξη, λοιπόν, που μας έδωσε εδώ στο κανάλι της Ναυτεμπορικής, εξηγεί πώς τα μαλλιά του έγιναν εφαλτήριο για το προσωπικό του rebranding, εξηγεί τις 6 ή 7 χρηματοπιστωτικές κρίσεις που έχει ζήσει, αλλά και τους παράγοντες που οδήγησαν στην καθεμία από αυτές, και ουσιαστικά μιλάει στο τέλος, δίνει μια ενδιαφέρουσα συμβουλή σε όλους και όλες εμάς, αλλά και στους νέους traders.
Μια πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα προσωπικότητα και μια πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα συνέντευξη. Χριστίνα, να σε ευχαριστήσω και εμείς, κυρίες και κύριοι, να παρακολουθήσουμε την αποκλειστική συνέντευξη που έδωσε ο Πίτερ Τάκμαν στην τηλεόραση της Ναυτεμπορικής και την Όλγα Αντωνιάδη.
Σήμερα έχω τη χαρά να συνομιλήσω με έναν άνθρωπο που αποτελεί ζωντανό σύμβολο της Wall Street. Ο Πίτερ Τάκμαν, γνωστός παγκόσμιος ως Αϊνστάιν της Wall Street, έχει ζήσει δεκαετίες έντασης, αλλαγών και ιστορικών στιγμών στο πάτωμα του χρηματιστηρίου της Νέας Υόρκης. Peter Tacman, it's great to be here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with you. Let's start from the beginning. Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
It's a long story. Anyway, I started working. I grew up in New York City, and I went to college. I studied agriculture, so vineyards. I did a lot of different things, and I traveled around the world. I traded commodities after college. I tried to get a master's in business. That didn't really work out. I ended up at Αϊνστάιν for many years, being an accountant for a Norwegian oil company. Then I was 25 years old, and it was time to get down to work business. So I came back to New York, and I got the summer job here on March 28th. But that picture is that we're right standing next to us. On March 28th, 1985 is the first day I started here, and from the minute I walked on the floor, the energy and the adrenaline back then it was open outcry and screaming and yelling like you see in the movies, and that's sort of my personality. So that was the beginning of my journey, and it's been 40 years now, 40 years and a half. It's been the greatest. It's been the greatest journey. I love what I do. You know, my pivoted a little bit around. I do a lot of social media. I have a big platform. I run the Academy, teaching people to trade. My son and I are partners here. We're a company trading the market, and so you know, for me, I'm almost the ambassador of the stock exchange. I've been there a long time, and it's the greatest financial institution.
Wow, that's a great background. And how did your early experience influence your path in life and career?
What experience?
Did your early experiences?
You know what? It's hard to know, really. I mean, you know, as a young kid, I was sort of always a little bit like an entrepreneur. I used to like stuff T-shirts here, trading commodities there. I ran a record store for a while, so I was all over the world, you know, and I'm always thinking on my feet, and I'm very resilient. You know, I have my parents are Holocaust survivors. They came here in 1949. They fell in love, and they had me. My mom was a doctor, and so I had a lot of really good, positive role models as far as just being resilient and strong and thinking on my feet, but I also learn from them sort of the importance of a human interaction, right? What one human being can do with another is so important, and how we can empower each other. And so when I came down here, this was like the ultimate human experience, because there were 7,000 people in this room. You know, it's one of the most extraordinary groups. Very shocked. We were very close. We worked with each other in good battle, screaming and yelling and trading, but what went on from 9 to 4, after 4 o'clock, whatever you did, you put on the shelf, and we were all good friends. So that community was very important to me. So I think all of those things that impacted my career on reading was not hopeless. There were a few years where I didn't make any money, and there was a lot of economic difficulty. I've had a number of years where I was very sick. You know, I lost my brother recently to cancer. I lost my wife last year to cancer. So I've had a lot of negative there. And so, you know, I grew up realizing, having seen what my parents went through, that, you know, it's not a matter of how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up and go. So that kind of resilience and that kind of drive, and that I love what I do and I love to interact with people, has made me now, you know, I've taken the best out of what I did in my career, and I've sort of pivoted to, you know, wanting to inspire and motivate the next generation. Trade with disasters. So that's why.
Amazing. You once worked as a doorman at the legendary Studio 54. How did that opportunity come about, and what did you take away from that experience?
Well, I can't really talk about a lot of what that took away from, but you know, it was the 1980s. I grew up in New York City, and that was a different time. So I had been in the music business for a little while. I just graduated college. I moved back to New York. I was getting a master's in business. I owned a record store, and you know, and I loved the night scene. New York and the night scene was wild, and Studio 54 was the first club that really had that sort of red rope, very exclusive. And I knew a gentleman who was a partner of the actual book at Studio. You know, nobody could get it. That was somebody, you know, only Madonna and you know, and David Bowie and all these wild characters to get in there. Of course, I wanted to get in. I wanted to be that person, and so I figured the best way to do it is to become the doorman. And so I maneuvered my way in, and yeah, it was a wonderful time. You know, it had limited lifespan, because it was wild and crazy time. Right? Everybody was out 24 hours a day, dancing and partying. So it lasted for a little while, and then it died.
And what exactly led you to a career on Wall Street?
So, you know, a number of things. I started in college when I studied, first of all, agriculture. I spent the year in Israel, and I was very interested in agriculture there. Obviously, Israel is a place where they've taken a desert and turned it into a very prosperous agricultural place, and for some reason that excited me. But when I get back to college, I realized that there was no future in this country. I had an older brother who was in finance. He was one of the corporate raiders. He was a big takeover guy in the 70s and 80s on Wall Street, and he was a big mentor for me. And my father had adopted me during the war, and so he was sort of a guy that I used to go over. He lived in France, and I would spend every summer working for him, and so I sort of knew about Wall Street. And he kept saying, you know what, Knuckle, whatever you're doing is fine. You know, when you're ready to start working, I think Wall Street's the place for you. So my father, who was a well-known doctor in New York, had a patient who ran a brokerage firm on Fifth Street. And so he came back from that on May 20th, March 20th of 1985, and I started 1 week later on the 28th of March as a teller. So back in the old days, your goal was to become a broker. Broker was the top job, but there was no trading job. So the way Wall Street worked was you came down here and you started it. It's almost like a cabin. You started at the bottom, which was a runner, a squad. You wore a little blue jacket. You made $100 a week, and then you ran back and forth, taking paper on a train route to the booth, then back on you, kind of like a Schreiber, right? Once people knew who you were and there's sort of trust, it's all about trust and honesty and transparency. So, you know, we trade $1 billion of stock every day, but we never exchange money, right? So you needed the way people work down here, and your word is your. So that human relationship and honesty and trust was a big thing. So you started as a squad and you moved your way up to be a teletype, then clerk, an option clerk, a retail clerk, institution clerk, and then your hope become a broker. In 1902, when we started the stock exchange, they only issued 1,366 seats on the stock exchange. That gave it the right. You see people wear that. Here now, I'm not wearing mine. That gives you the right to trade stock. And so there was a limited number. So to become a broker, you either had to have somebody quit or retire or get fired or die or something, had to move on. So it normally took about 15 years to go from, if you were good and if you were lucky, to go from the bottom to the top. And I got very, I did it 3.5 years. I thrived on the energy in the room, right? I thrive on chaos. Lots of screaming and yelling and hats. To tell I'm sort of a boisterous character. So I love that atmosphere, and it didn't faze me. It didn't make me nervous. And so I kind of was good at what I did. I moved up, and I was in the right place at the right time. And so that's kind of how I got to where.
It's really impressive. Thank you so much.